rolling. We are rolling on the 23rd of February, 2016, here at UCLA, where it's a beautiful sunny day. Sunshine is shining as usual. It's another gorgeous day in paradise, actually. We're about to hear an extemporaneous speech from Michael, who's going to address the question, should the federal minimum wage be raised to $15 an hour? Michael's in the power stance. Relax your hands. Don't hold them together. He's looking around the room to make sure all laptops are shut. Telephones are away. Everyone's looking up and paying attention to you. He says to himself, I respect my audience. He finds friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name. Feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi everyone, my name is Michael Bezoyan.
Hi Michael.
July 4th, 2015. You probably gathered with your family members and celebrated America's independence. The proud American I am, I did the same. But not everyone was as fortunate as you and I were. Ritu Shah Burnham, a small business owner, was a day away from closing down her small business. The reason she gave for having to close down her small business was that she was unable to pay her workers a $15 minimum wage by the year 2017. The sad thing is, this is one of the many instances where businesses have had to close down because of high wages. I strongly believe that the federal minimum wage should not be raised to $15 an hour for 3 reasons. 1, the higher wages will be offset by higher costs. 2, businesses will find it more cost-effective to replace people with technology. And 3, businesses will be more inclined to take their business overseas. As college students, it's easy for us to ask for higher wages. After all, chances are we've worked minimum wage jobs to pay for food, rent, and tuition. But not only will raising the federal minimum wage not help us, it will hurt us. Raising the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour is like running on a treadmill. You're moving, but you're not going anywhere. And that's the first reason why I believe that the federal minimum wage should not be raised to $15 an hour, is that it helps no one. When businesses have to pay their workers more, they will raise the prices of their goods. So, for example, last July, Chipotle raised the prices of its menu items by 10 or more % to pay their workers more. And even when you're not working a minimum wage job and the wages are raised, you'll end up paying more for the goods without seeing an increase in the amount of money you're making. So, for example, if let's say you make $20 an hour and the minimum wage is raised to $15 an hour, the prices of the goods that you're buying, so let's say at a grocery store, will cost more. But you're not going to be seeing a raise. You're getting paid the same amount, but you're paying more. And that's the first reason why I believe that the federal minimum wage should not be raised to $15 an hour. Ken Jennings, the man who won 74 consecutive episodes of Jeopardy, once jokingly answered a question on the February 16, 2011 episode by saying, I for one welcome our new computer overlords. Sounds funny, right? Well, the sad reality is, if we raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour, this will become a reality. The second reason why I believe that the federal minimum wage should not be raised to $15 an hour is that businesses will find it more cost-effective to replace people with technology. This isn't just a hypothetical. It's happened in the past. As Robert C. Allen, an economic historian, found in a 2007 study, the spinning jenny was invented in England because of high wages. The high wages led to technological innovation, which in turn led to job loss. And this isn't just a phenomenon of the past. It's happening today. Last year, Panera Bread CEO Ron Scheich said that if the federal minimum wage is raised to $15 an hour, robots will be replacing labor like the sun comes up in the morning. In addition, and that's the second reason why I believe that the federal minimum wage should not be raised to $15 an hour. The third and final reason why I believe that the federal minimum wage should not be raised to $15 an hour is that businesses will move overseas. As one study conducted by Campbell Harvey, a Duke University professor, found, he surveyed 400 CFOs, or chief financial officers, of big companies. He found that 70% of the CFOs would be willing to move their business overseas or to outsource if the federal minimum wage was raised. As evidenced, the federal minimum wage should not be raised to $15 an hour for 3 reasons. 1, the higher wages will be offset by higher costs. 2, businesses will find it more cost-effective to take their business overseas. And 3, businesses will be more likely to replace people with technology. At the start of this presentation, I gave you the story of Ritu Shah Burnham. She had to close down her pizzeria because she couldn't pay her workers more. This isn't just a single issue. There are many, many other people who have had to close down their small business because of higher wages. It's easy for us to want higher wages, but it's not going to help us, it's going to hurt us. Our elected officials must act wisely.
That was 4 minutes and 36 seconds. Thank you for waiting respectfully at the door. What did you think of my new sign?
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, let's stay outside.
Excellent, it worked. Yes, sir.
Hi everyone, my name is Greg.
Hi, Greg.
Hi, Greg.
Are we doing positive?
Positive, yes, what do you like, sir?
Michael, I want to say compared to your previous speech, I would say that there was a lot more dynamicism in the speech.
Yeah.
You're more dynamic, emotional as well. In the beginning, when you strongly urged us to not ask for an increase in minimum wage, I really felt the emotion in your voice. You weren't monotone, so that would definitely be a positive thing that I noticed in your speech.
Thank you. Improvement?
Hi, my name is Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
I mean, overall, I think it was very, very good. And compared to your first speech to it, you seem a lot more confident, which is really good because I know how it feels to be up there. But I think from here, speaking for myself as well, when you make a mistake, I think I have to also know that to not let the audience know, if you do make a mistake, to kind of find a way to kind of go around and be like, oh well, instead of like, oh wait, sorry, never mind, so that
Right.
it doesn't throw off Oscar too. Because if you say it in that way, it seems like you prepared like already a speech over here, so it doesn't seem as natural. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm speaking for myself too. But in that sense, I think overall it's very good. It seems that you knew your arguments very, very well.
Okay. Thank you, Sharon. Well, first off, take a step forward or two. I think, do you feel that right there is a little bit more in tune and closer to the audience than where you were?
Yeah.
You were guard against you were backed up almost to the screen. And you gave a nonverbal impression, almost like you were afraid to speak to your audience, and you don't want to do that. I don't know how much you've studied political. It sounds like you're a political animal, and you've looked at different speeches over the years. Libby Dole, I don't know if you've ever seen her speak or seen any of her speeches. Look them up on YouTube. Tremendous extemporaneous speaker. But she would go out from behind the podium, go out in the audience, talk to people, know people by names, and say, and you, George, you remember that happened to you, and you, Brianna, and just freak people out, but really make a connection, and not be afraid to, come to the audience and not put any barriers between her and the audience. Okay, let's deconstruct your speech and give you some feedback. Your grammar was the 4th of July. You can't go wrong with that, I suppose. You started with a story, right, of a businesswoman. Is it a woman or a man? Is it a woman?
I believe so, woman.
Businesswoman that owns a pizzeria that had to close down because of the minimum wage. Good story, good grabber, I guess. One sort of rule of thumb, and if you look at this in your sticky text too, it often helps to start with an arresting large statistic, like according to the Stanford Business School, 1,800 small businesses closed in California because of the minimum wage. But that's an empty statistic. Let me tell you about Shaw Burnham and go that way. But nonetheless, you did grab us, and it was pretty good. Let me say one other overarching thing. You had 2 minutes and 15 seconds left. You could have slowed down, put more arguments and information and studies into this thing to fill out your time. Okay? Your thesis preview was excellent. You knew your material. You spoke extemporaneously. I thought your significant statement sold the speech nicely to the audience. You pointed out it's not going to help us. It's going to hurt us. And you may think in the short term you're getting something for nothing, but there is no proverbial free lunch. Here's where, and then we come to your body. And here I want you to, when you watch yourself tonight, I want you to learn to walk and talk at the same time instead of talk and walk, and not make it such a distinct thing, make it a little more natural. I like the metaphor or the image that it's a treadmill, and that you may find that the prices go up, and so you're not making any more money, so you have to pay more prices. So I thought that was a good argument, and I thought well argued and well presented. It could have been had a theoretical underpinning, but I think it was logically enough explained. It was fine. On your second argument, it was kind of strange the way you introduced it with the story first of the Jeopardy guy and then got into your point. Maybe I would have reversed that, but that was just me. Turning machines into jobs to do more effectively. And I think that the study that you gave from Robert Allen of the spinning jenny was a century ago, and I think you really need to update that. And, we're seeing this in McDonald's where you're going to these little kiosks and punching in what you need, and it comes to you, and they're eliminating the need for workers in the front to take the orders and so forth. So I would have given more examples, contemporaneous examples, other than the older ones. The Panera example, quote, was a good one. I also want to compliment you on the way you went back to your major thesis, and that's why the federal minimum wage should not be increased. And so you went back to it at the end of each of your sub-arguments, and so that was effective. On your third argument, outsourcing the Duke University finance professor, 70% of 400 chief CFOs. My BS detector went off from this quote. I don't know about how many small businesses have CFOs, and so I'm not sure this study is linked to the minimum wage in small businesses. I didn't see the quote completely. I don't know the study completely. But I'm just telling you, my BS detector went off on this evidence. And you could have, there's plenty of evidence out there that says that they are going to close or shift away or go to more harmonious environments, that sort of thing. Just Donald Trump has been talking about the Carrier air conditioner company moving out of New York to go to Mexico. So your summary was okay, your conclusion was good, and your tie back to your story was excellent. You said, speak slowly, be more credible, show emotions, and avoid repeating the same hand movement. How did it go?
I felt like I spoke too quickly. Either that or I just didn't have enough. When I was practicing yesterday, I had about 6 minutes 30 seconds, so I was surprised that I only got 4 minutes 30 seconds in.
Yeah.
With regards to being more credible, I think I did a better job of that.
Yeah.
And the same hand movements, I was in a way making a conscious effort not to make it. I don't know if I did. I felt that if I did it less so than I did the first time around.
Okay, you're getting better, and I agree with your class colleague here. It was a significant improvement over your first speech. I still think you have a ways to go in terms of just relaxing and being more natural and smiling more and just making us feel more relaxed. I have a feeling you're still kind of nervous and tense up there, and it makes an audience feel that way as you speak too, and you don't need that or want that. As far as stickiness goes, what did you put in here? What did you structure or design into the speech that was unexpected?
I'd say the stories I gave.
Uh-huh.
So, for example, creating that emotional appeal. Let's say by starting off with the story of Ritu Shah Burnham, where she had to close down her business, and kind of juxtaposing that against what you and I did. We celebrated America's independence. This woman, the next day, had to close down her business. So I felt that was unexpected. Okay,
not bad, not bad. Do consider that always when going through your speech, especially at the end. You can do something. You did it at the intro, which is a good place to put in something unexpected, so that was good. I think the credibility of your sources was pretty good. You could have maybe heightened them a little bit, just with a little more stress of your voice, of study and 20 just where it came from. Professor Campbell Harvey from Duke. You know what I'm saying. Just build the credibility a little more with your voice. I think would have been helpful. You did try to put in stories to make it more sticky, and so I appreciate that. And I think this could have very easily, because of the nature of finance, become too abstract, and it didn't. I think it was pretty concrete. And so I think it was pretty sticky that way. The emotional connection, you chose some emotional stories. I would have also, don't hesitate to put your own feelings into this as well, and make it, I just think this is really sad and outrageous. This woman had to close her business, and I just, I hate to use him as an exemplar, but Trump does this pretty well. He makes a good emotional connection with his audience. They sense this in a way. Okay, you did a nice job, Michael. Thank you. Okay. There you go. Voila.
I tried to write an outline as fast as I could for you.
Okay.
I'll forward you the same.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, forward. Don't be so near the screen. Yeah, good. Okay. Okay, so let's chat with her and let's find out how her weekend was.
Hello. It was good. I went to a music festival.
She went to Coachella, man. Really.
Is it Aaron's Valley? Yeah. I went last year and it was raining so hard. So like no one was there. It was great. Yeah. It was just like listening to music. Yes. I'm wanting to see J. Cole because I've never seen him live. And it was really good. Yeah. Did you have a good deal on it? I think the price, but it was like a coupon. It was like $20. So yeah, I think it was like $120. Yeah, I got super lucky. Yeah, like crazy.
Okay, we are rolling.
I figured out.
This is you here.
That's me.
That's you. Okay. Brianna stands before you, managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally. She's saying to herself, I respect my audience. She's making sure everyone's paying attention, not texting. The computers are closed. She's finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love, and start your speech.
Hello, my name is Brianna Clipp.
Hi, Brianna.
It is not from the benevolence of the butcher, the brewer, or the baker that we expect our dinner, but from the regard of their own interest. Adam Smith said this in The Wealth of Nations, and while this book, The Wealth of Nations, is pretty outdated in terms of when it was released, Adam Smith was onto something, because what he is asserting is that there is a philosophical assumption of human nature. And that is, first, that we're selfish. Secondly, we can only live within our own means of what we're capable of. Which means not all of us will be able to build a rocket ship. Not all of us will be able to make the best cake. Which means that we should live in accordance to what we are good at. And what he also describes is this notion of absolute advantage, which is an economic term which says that it's the ability of a country, individual, company, or region to produce a good or service at a lower cost per unit than the cost that any other entity produces that good or service. And what this means is that countries will be able to produce an item at a lower cost because of the notion of free trade. What is free trade? Free trade is this concept at which countries will be able to trade with one another when there are reduced tariffs. And what I argue is that we should increase the amount of free trade agreements in the U.S. Because, as Adam Smith said, it is the maxim of every prudent master of a family never to attempt to make at home what it will cost him to make than to buy. This means that you're not going to make your own clothes if you know that you can purchase them at a reduced price. International trade, considerably free trade, is the exact foundation at which American prosperity was founded upon. So when we talk about free trade agreements, when I say to you, yes, we should increase free trade, I specifically want to talk about today the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And through this, I will give you 3 reasons why we should continue to develop partnerships such as this. The first I will describe to you is that this partnership will increase the standards of living for all the countries that are involved in this partnership. My second point is that we will have increase of markets, which is the same as increase of goods and services that will lead to better standards of living. And then my third point is this idea that the U.S. will be able to maintain hegemony in the Asian Pacific region, specifically to counter the rising power of China. But first, with this idea of increasing standards, right? We see in the world today that we have various means of eating, such as poultry and fish and beef, etc. But the problem is there isn't an international standard that determines what is healthy and what is not. What the TPP does is creates this standard at which organic foods will be able to be registered at a certain way, in a universal way, so that all of us are receiving the same healthy benefits as the others, which means that countries such as Peru and the Philippines, who are involved in this TPP, will be able to maintain their healthy standards of living, unlike what they have been experiencing for the past few generations, right? And additionally, what we see is an increase of standards for labor laws, so that countries who don't have regulations such as this will be able to have a vacation. They won't have to work in sweatshops because the TPP allows for them a world at which they maintain a better standard of living, right? And then my third point under this standard of living is that because these countries will have to abide by international standards, this means that we will have more regulatory practices so that we will always keep a better way of living. My second point, though, that I want to discuss is this idea of having more goods and services. Have you ever heard of the apple yogurt dish in Canada or New Zealand called the apple yogurt pop? Apparently it's really good. And when you have acts such as the TPP that are passed, we will be able to acquire these goods and services. Additionally, Japanese car companies will be able to export their goods to the US at a cheaper cost, which means that we will be able to get those cars for cheaper. Cars, American-made as well, will be able to be purchased at a cheaper price. So, for example, the car Tesla. Australia would like to purchase Tesla more often than not, but what happens is they end up having some amount like over $20,000 than what the US people would have to pay for it because of the tariffs. So the TPP solves for this problem, making it so that we can live in a more innovative and successful environment. Additionally, what this does is it reduces the amount of tariffs, about 14,000 tariffs total, which means that we will be able to have an influx of at least 14,000 goods, right? And I argue that this is good, which is why we need to pass the TPP. My third point, though, is this political agenda that the U.S. needs to maintain hegemony in the Asian Pacific region, specifically that of China, where in recent years we have been told that China is on the rise. China is the next global superpower. And they're right. Whoever is saying that is absolutely right. However, according to Tracy McMillie of NPR, in August 2015, she noted that China's struggling economy isn't as great as it is. And the problem is that other countries in the Asian Pacific area are relying on China and they're succumbed to their orbit, making it so that they can never leave China's hand because China is the hand that feeds them. This is a problem. This means that we are reliant on China. And this is bad for our future because this means we won't be able to live in a society where we are independent. Additionally, when we pass the TPP, because China isn't involved in this slew of nations, the 12 or 11 countries that are involved in it, this means that we will be able to create a world at which we have a more dynamic, multilateral relationship so that we're not reliant on China. My last point under this, though, is this notion of maintaining stability in the Asian Pacific region, where countries are fighting, like Japan specifically, are fighting for the rights to own the Senkaku Islands. This has been extremely controversial in the past few years because we haven't been able to maintain a leadership over this island, right? And this island is crucial for various reasons because of the oil production on the island. What we're arguing, though, is that when the U.S. is able to maintain relations of the other countries in the Asian Pacific region, we will maintain stability with our presence as an economic power. So today, I talked about the TPP, and I argued that free trade agreements should increase because what we do is spur innovation, we bring a greater standard of living to those who are part of the alliance, we have increased markets, and then we also have a greater hegemony in the Asian Pacific region. I know that in the next 10 years, when we graduate college, we want to be able to have control over our lives. That's what college is telling us, right? We get our degree and we're ready to go. That won't happen if we don't pass the TPP. Adam Smith was right. We need to increase free trade alliances and make it so that everyone can live in a world that is globally innovative and acceptable for the future. Thank you.
8:17. Okay, where are we? Hello.
Hi, my name's Ethan. I really like how you use a quote in the beginning to kind of explain what your speech, kind of like the direction of your speech.
Yeah.
So right afterwards, you kind of define the terms, which kind of gave us a broader sense of what your topic is going to be about.
Okay. You mentioned Adam Smith in the end, so let's try to tie back. Thank you. This is improvement.
Hi guys, my name is Wahab.
Hello.
Good speech. You knew what you were talking about. The only thing that I found distracting was that you just had like your phone in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
I found that kind of like, I don't know if it was maybe a flashcard, I think it would be better. But then again, whatever was convenient for you. But that's just it.
Yeah. What would be better is no flashcard or no phone, and use your memory that God gave you. Yes. Okay. Let's talk, Brianna. Gosh. You went way over, and if I were your editor, I would say that your setup was much too long.
Mm-hmm.
You were when you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, you will see you were almost 2 minutes into before you got to 2 minutes and 30 seconds before you got to your main body, and you know, some of that was necessary, but because you know it's a money topic and it's tricky, but should the U.S. increase free trade? What needed to happen was that you needed to make it clear that your answer was an emphatic yes, and we do it through passing this thing, and that needed to be real clear, and you needed to repeat. So we pass this, we get more free trade at the end of each section. We pass it, we get more free trade. Instead of we got more onto the passing the act, and we got way later to that instead of increasing free trade, where this was part of your argument. You pass it, you get more free trade, and then you get the benefits of it, which is what you were arguing. I think when you saw that you were running out of time, you could have pulled back some of your examples. You didn't have to have two underneath each of these. I don't see the bib, so I don't know what you were working with. You did introduce some evidence and cited them and the date, so that was good. More of that is useful. I think you finally at the end kind of sold this to the audience, that how this is important to them. I would have liked to have seen that come a little earlier and a little bit more in the SIG statement up top of why they should care about a speech on free trade. Okay, let's talk about your goals. More eye contact, slow down, yes. And I can't read your writing, but something about the government and
connecting the conclusion to the opening.
Tie back. Okay, good. How'd it go?
I feel good about it.
Okay.
I think I think that was almost the demise of why I went 8 minutes, because
you were slowing down and you were being trying to be more persuasive and making an emotional connection. Let's talk about the stickiness of this. What did you put in unexpected that was going to grab your audience or redraw them in or be an attention?
I thought that what I used right before my conclusion, where I say we want to have control over our lives, I thought that was it connects with us because we want to be able to use our degrees to do greater good.
Okay, that's when I think you kind of got back to your audience and involved them, so I think that was pretty good. Credibility could have been enhanced by more citations of your evidence while you're speaking and while you're presenting it. I don't think it was too abstract. I think it was pretty concrete. Some stories would have, I guess, been helpful. And I think you had a simple message, but I would have liked you to have made it more emphatic up top in your beginning about, you should have said, should the U.S. increase free trade? You betcha, and here's how to do it, and then reiterate that throughout. So we knew you were in favor of it, but just make it the thesis real simple. We need to increase free trade, and that's how to do it. We need to increase free trade. But overall, let's talk one last time, because I would like to see you not use your phone for your final speech. So let's talk about memory for a minute. What's the dealio here?
Memory?
Yes.
Well, on my phone I have the Adam Smith quote, because that was a pretty long quote,
Yeah.
and then some of the sources as well.
Yeah. So you had your sources there, but you pretty much know the 7-part outline. You know that in your sleep. That's old news to you, right?
I think so.
Yeah, it is. So how can we work with you so that you won't have to use a note card for your final impromptu?
I think I'll just have to practice again, maybe. Just do it more repetitive and just say it in my sleep.
Well, let me suggest just a couple of things. One would be my experience has been about 6 times with a live audience that's not a mirror, but someone really listening to you is a pretty good number to get you to know it. If you can say it forward, backwards, and sideways as you're lying in bed, the outline, speak the speech aloud. Mm-hmm. So it would sound something like this, folks. You would say, first I will have my Adam Smith quote, which will say this, and then I will have my thesis, which will say that, yes, we should increase free trade, and I'm going to have these 3 reasons, and they're going to be oop, 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 oop. And you just speak it aloud without giving them all. You see if you can speak the speech through and remember the quotes. And then try saying it backwards. So then I'll tie back to the Adam Smith. Then I'll have a conclusion, which will be we should increase free trade. Then I'll have a summary, which will be these 3 points. Say the summary backwards. What that does is it makes different connections. See, what happens when people only work it from beginning to end is they set a single track in their mind one way. That's why everyone, can I start over? You know, they want to start from the beginning. Whereas if you have multiple ways of remembering the information, then you played with it so much that you know what you're going to say. Also, if when you practice it, folks, you don't practice word for word, but say it in your own words. And try saying the quotes in your own words. No one's going to kill you if you don't get the exact words. I know that, in policy debate they want, the exact words, but, we're not so, strict here. So anyway, I hope you'll work on your memory so that you can have more credibility and make more eye contact and make a better emotional connection. I agree with the comment. The phone is a little distracting and it hurts your credibility. So try to lose the phone. Thank you. Hi. How you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
There's going to be a moment, so why don't you talk to this gentleman?
Hey,
How are you doing?
I'm good.
How's your weekend?
Not very good.
What's going
Got into an accident last week, so I've been dealing with that all weekend. So I'm busy.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But I mean, nothing serious, but still a lot of paperwork.
Vendor?
No, but it's like, we're like in the fight because they're denying stuff.
Insurance company?
Yeah.
Policies?
There's a lot of people to talk to. Been busy, like during midterms too.
Has everyone signed up for an impromptu bank? Remind you, you're not signing up for one, but a bank of 3. Yes. I plan to show a model in just a few minutes. Yes, please.
For judging, because I remember reading on your
What now?
like for judging.
Oh yeah, you want to judge at SLO or at
Yeah, I'm interested.
Loyola? Okay,
Yeah,
great.
and, I was
See me
wondering-
after class. Yeah.
I wonder if there's any, like, if I could also judge, because I'm actually going to a tournament that's coming up.
You're going what?
Actually judging at a tournament that's coming up.
Oh, yeah?
At a Fullerton tournament, Cal State Fullerton tournament.
Yeah, that doesn't count for us.
So it needs to be something that pertains to
UCLA, yeah.
And that's
What about Gmail? Do you have Gmail?
is that the one that's on outline?
FLO, yeah, FLO, yeah. Can you do that one, the 4th through the 6th?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about like the details.
Okay, yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, we'd love to have you. We could use you as a judge, so that's great. Okay, let me get you, you're a little taller than most speakers, so let me get you, yes.
I'd also like to do like
Okay, email me. Okay. All right, okay. We are, everyone, he's managing attention. He's about to speak on the topic, will unemployment continue to fall in 2016? He's communicating respect non-verbally, finding friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name, feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi, my name is Heesing,
Hi, He Sing.
and I just want to start out my speech with a simple question, which will be, do you know what you will be doing in 10 years? I see a lot of like shaking heads, and the reason why I ask this is because I also personally do not know what I'm going to be doing in 10 years. And I think most undergraduate students like us often contemplate or question ourselves about what we will be doing in 10 years. The stuff that I'm learning at UCLA, the things I'm going to be doing when I go into my career. Personally, I think I know what career path I want to follow. However, in 10 years, I have no idea what I'm going to be doing. And as a pre-law student, my desire to go to law school is strong. However, I have questioned myself so many times because I am not sure if the trade-off between the $60K tuition per year at law school and becoming a lawyer is something that is worth it for me and worth it for my passion. And I think a lot of people, not only at undergraduate level, think about this when looking into the job market and thinking about employment. And I think a lot of that has to do with questioning oneself and one's self-desire. Today I'll be talking about the question, will unemployment continue to fall in 2016? And I will say that it will continue to decrease throughout the 2016 fiscal year. And here there are 3 reasons why unemployment will continue to fall. First is hourly wages will increase than the usual average. Second is the job market will increase. And third is missing workers will increase. The significant reason why I mentioned that question to you in the beginning was because I personally had a questioning since the time I was applying for college. In 2010, when I was applying for colleges, my SAT tutor, my teachers in class, all told us, you're gonna go into the worst market because in 2010 was when the unemployment rate was the highest at 10%. And everyone during that time was saying, oh, it's gonna stay like that or get worse. And all my teachers were like, once you go to college, the job market's not gonna be there and it's gonna be terrible. And I think the reason why that hardship translated to me questioning myself in undergraduate is the reason why I thought that this question was so unique to the circumstance that we're in right now. The first reason why I believe the unemployment rate will go down is hourly wages will continue to go up. According to Nelson Schwartz of the New York Times, he indicates that hourly wages will go up because of the job market solidifying from the past 2015 fourth quarter, and firms and companies will try to pay the workers more in order to get the best workers possible. And in return, that competition is going to create more job opportunities. Nelson Schwartz quotes Michael Hansen, a senior economist of the Bank of America, which indicates that job markets will continue to solidify in the next 2 quarters, and that in return will only create more jobs in the future. And that in return will cause unemployment rate to continue to either stay or go lower in the next 2 quarters. And I think this is significant because hourly wages will engage people to seek more jobs and create people to stay within the jobs but compete for better jobs, which will in return create a better job market and competition. My second reason why I think unemployment will increase, unemployment rate will decrease is because job market itself will increase. According to Paul Davidson, an economist who wrote for the USA Today, indicates that the job market will continue to increase and increase from the push of the fourth quarter of 2015. Fourth quarter of 2015 just alone created 279,000 new jobs, and first quarter of this year has already increased 169,000 jobs per month, at a rate of 169,000 per month. This rate will only create a push for future job markets to open up and create more opportunities for individuals to seek jobs. And Paul Davidson indicates that this rate that has ricocheted from the fourth quarter of 2015 will cause first and second and third quarter of 2016 to go at a constant rate, which will constantly keep the rate down and continue to have the unemployment rate at a lower pace. I believe this is significant because more job market means that there will be more job opportunity for people not even with lesser educational or opportunities in the future. Lastly, there has been more evidence in after the 2015 push for the job market, which indicates that missing workers are actually increasing. This is actually a negative impact to why unemployment rates are going down. According to a research done by Economic Policy Institute on February 5th, 2016, in accordance with Department of Labor, indicates that missing workers are actually increasing at a higher rate from 2015 to 2016. Missing workers are defined as people who are not seeking for jobs, which means that even though they are unemployed, because they're not seeking for jobs, they are no longer considered unemployed. The reason why this is problematic is because the increasing rate of missing workers means that on paper it might seem that unemployment rates are going down. However, because they're no longer seeking for jobs, people are actually jobless and the number of people who are jobless are actually increasing. According to the research done by the Economic Policy Institute, 2.6 million people in America today are jobless because they're considered missing workers. And I think that is significant because that is problematic because on paper, many of people may realize the unemployment rate are going down, but in reality, there are just people that are not seeking jobs. In conclusion, there are three reasons I have outlined why unemployment rate will continue to fall in 2016. The combination of hourly wages as well increasing as well the job market freeing up, and the indication that missing workers are increasing means that unemployment will continue to fall. I believe that me personally, after this research, has kind of gave me hope for the future because unemployment rate continues to fall down because of the job market freeing up. And I think reading that as an undergraduate college student kind of gives me more of a brighter future for me to seek better job opportunities and job markets. I think these opportunities and these questionings that I do within myself during my undergraduate years may have a negative impact, but however, for in this instance, it had a very positive impact in my life for me to have a brighter future for myself. Thank you.
Thank you. Teaching. Here, yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Anthony.
Hi, Anthony.
I thought your speech was very, very, very good. I liked all the points you were making, and you seemed very well informed. And you seemed as though, well, I got the impression that you had a vested interest in your speech and communicating, well, for obvious reasons, and you communicated that to us very well, I thought.
Thank you.
So it's personal, wasn't it? It wasn't an automaton coughing out statistics about unemployment rate. Yeah. Good. Improvement, sir.
Hi everyone, my name is Michael Bezoy.
Hi, Michael.
I think that relying too much on personal story was in fact kind of a weakness. Relying on personal stories, of course, is a good thing, but I think you relied on it too much. So for example, in your significant statement, you focused more on yourself, whereas you should have said, yeah, we're all college students and this should be news for all of us. But it seemed as if you just kept on mentioning, you know, as a student in my undergraduate career, this is my focus. I had, you know, even when you're giving your story about your SAT tutor, about how job prospects aren't good, all of us went through that too, so I think you could have better connected with the audience if you mentioned the audience rather than just yourself. But again, personal stories were good. Maybe it was just too much.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, I wrote that down next to your significant statement. He's saying that you went into great detail there, but didn't relate it specifically to the audience. Remember, it's significant to the audience.
Okay.
And you were wanting them to infer it was so significant to you that it would be significant to them. And that's not necessarily so. But this was a good speech, so let's talk about it. You started with a rhetorical question, not my favorite way. What are you going to all be doing in 10 years? So I wish you would kind of had gone back to the 10-year question or something, as that was the most vivid thing you started with. You did go back to the personal stuff, but nonetheless, I think you have the idea of the tie back down, and that was good. On the, I liked, right away, I disagree a little bit with Michael's comment. I right away liked the fact that you decided to share some personal tribulations and nervousness about the economy. It gave, frankly, financial speeches bore the hell out of me, and so this gave it a human face, and it was interesting, and so that was I appreciated that. That was good. Your thesis preview was excellent, and it was succinct, so it was well done. Your significance statement was inadequate and wrong, so you need to rethink what you do as a significant statement. What I find so ironic about your not having a significant statement was during your main body of your speech, you were able to give your arguments significance each time, too. And I thought that was a really good trait you had. I hope the audience noticed that he gave, at the end of each point, a significance comment to it. And that's a good habit to be in, either relating it to the topic about it continuing to fall in 216 or to the audience. Why should they care? See? Yeah. So, one other overarching criticism of your presentation, which hurt your credibility a little in the credibility department, is you did not state one single date in any of your citations. And that's an element of credibility. As far as I know, all your sources were 2013 or 2010 or 22.
I had it in my speech. I totally blanked out on
yes,
the dates.
But you had great sources, the New York Times. You had the editor of the New York Times. You had an economist. You had great sources, but you didn't tell us when they said it. And so that undercut your credibility a little bit. Hourly wages, okay. Growth increase, okay. Your third point about job search decrease, yes, this is, I'm glad you presented it because it is the sort of what I'm going to sound partisan when I say this, but this is the statistic the President Obama's administration doesn't like to talk about very much. And when they're talking about how wonderful the job growth has come, all these people are dropping out of the economy, and we have this big phantom 2.6 million, as you put it, growing. So if technically, unemployment is, it's tricky with your third point, if you know what I mean. If you count the phantom workers, it sort of contradicts. But
I thought it was such an interesting thing I found while I was researching.
Yeah, it is.
All of it was just all about all the job markets stabilizing, all that.
Flourishing and wonderful, yeah, sure.
But
I'm glad you presented it. Remember to know the difference in your mind between a summary and a conclusion. So you want to say, in summary, I've given you 3 reasons why unemployment will continue to fall in 2016. In conclusion, you should conclude with me that unemployment that will fall in 2016. So, as I started out at the beginning of my speech, what will you be doing in 10 years? I hope you won't be unemployed. I hope that my predictions are true, and I hope that you all will be gainfully employed. Boom, and you're done. See? That's how I would have ended it. Now, let's look at your CNIs, your constant, never-ending improvement goals. Make it within the time limit. You did that. Walk slowly and within my points. Have a better tie back. How'd it go?
First one I did. Second one was because the first speech I gave, I was like walking around, and that was like one of the
Right,
criticisms. So like I tried to just like
More purposefully, yeah.
purposely, and I think I did that hopefully. And it wasn't like a distraction to the audience where
Right, yeah.
prior I was just like walking around, I was distracted.
Right, yeah. It's pacing, yeah.
Third one, I think I could have definitely done a better tie back to like my rhetorical question.
Yes.
Because it was like the first thing I said.
You want to go with the most vivid thing and,
Yeah.
and the biggest thing you said and go back to that. If it's a quote, if it's a poem, if it's a story, if it's a question, go back to it. On the stickiness of the speech, I hate to sound like a broken record, but what did you design into this that was unexpected?
So for me, what I tried to do in terms of stickiness was last speech I gave, I wasn't telling a story, and that was one of your comments that you gave.
Yes.
So I tried to
Good.
do that, but I happened to pick a topic that is like the most like dull thing to like talk about personally, to
Right.
be honest with me. So
Uh-huh,
I kind of
yeah.
sat there and I was like, hey, what does unemployment have to do with me?
Mhm.
And the first thing that kind of like came to my head was,
Yeah.
you know, in high school when I was applying, when like the unemployment rate was like at the highest.
Yeah.
I remember like all my teachers and my tutors were like kind of like scared.
Give up, go
Yeah.
kill yourself. Yeah, I know.
So that's when I was
remember
kind of
those
like,
days, yeah.
oh, like maybe that could have been a personal story I could give.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was good, yeah. So those were the unexpected things you thought you would design this to make it personal. Those were stories. Don't hesitate to put in something really weird or different to grab your audience's attention in a strange sort of way. Change the tense of a sentence. Change your vocal inflection sound. Yell for a moment on your most serious point. There's a lot of ways that you can do something unexpected that will suddenly shock people into paying extra attention at that moment that you want them to pay attention to that moment. See? Yeah. Credibility we talked about. I think you had a simple message, so I think we're always after that simple message. It was very simple. Yes, it's going to fall, and here's 3 reasons why. The unexpected we talked about. I don't think it was overly abstract. I think you were concrete for the most part, and except for the credibility of not giving the dates, I think you were credible and as a speaker. So that was good, and you did present a storyline in here to make what would normally be kind of a boring speech more interesting. So you did a nice job today, Hee-Sing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next.
Is it alright if I turn the light on? I'd like to stand.
You're the queen of the environment. When you're a speaker, you do whatever you want. Okay, turn that one off. Do you mind if we have the back one off?
I actually.
No, you want both one? Okay.
I guess you-
Praise the Lord. Okay, we'll have them both. No, come on. You want them on? When you're the speaker, you're the queen.
Woohoo! There you go.
Can we have the next person go up, please?
Great. How was your weekend?
Oh, see, I don't need to interrupt that conversation. I have the sign-in sheet.
Oh yeah, no, totally.
Thank you.
Okay, can we have someone come up and have their next speech up, please? We need another. We're running out of time, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I got to go. But thank you.
Oh yeah, that's right.
What festival did you go to?
It's called Air and Style.
Airhead Festival?
Air and Style.
Air and Style. Where was it?
It was the LA Convention Center.
LA Convention Center.
Yeah,
Okay, how was that?
It was great. Shaun White was on, the Olympic snowboarder.
Oh,
So there was this, yeah, so there was this like a half pipe.
Oh, I see. Now the convention center, that's near what, the Coliseum?
Exactly, next to this.
That's the big, long, lanky building.
Yeah.
Did they have just one big
It was
arena,
outside.
or it was outside?
Yeah.
Oh, I
It was
see.
real fun still.
Oh, I see. Okay, great.
Notes in class and notes on books.
Yeah, the notes on
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like as I'm reading, I'll have the notes, the questions right next to me, so I can just do it all at the same time. I mean, it makes reading go slow, but.
Okay.
Are you ready?
We are ready. Okay. I'm gonna get you in my focus.
One of the things that bugged me about the other video is I don't like my smile. It's weird.
What did you say?
When I'm nervous, I don't like my nervous smile.
Okay, you're a little too close.
I am?
So don't come in front of that
Okay, cool.
that imaginary brown brick there. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Elfie stands before you. They're not looking at you. Managing attention. Communicating respect non-verbally. Saying to herself, I respect my audience. Finding friendly eyes near the front and center. Say your name, feel the love. And talk to us about the question, should we keep searching for Malaysia Airlines Flight 370?
Hi, my name is Elsie.
Hi, Elsie.
Everybody close your eyes, and I'll tell you when to open them. Please. It's 12:41 in the morning on March 8th, 2014. I was asleep in my parents' room. You're probably asleep in your bed somewhere. But just at that moment, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 is taking off. It's en route to Beijing. 1:07 in the morning, the plane's transponder sends out its location and signal. It's on its way to its destination. All is normal. 1:12 a.m. The cockpit crew signs off saying, Malaysia Airlines, good night. It's the last voice ever heard from the 239 people on board. 1:21 a.m., the plane's transponder stops sending signals. 2:14 a.m., military radar detects the plane flying out off of its course to the west, higher than the approved limit for a Boeing 777, and then dipping down and out off across the Indian Ocean. 7:24 a.m., an hour after the flight is supposed to have landed in Beijing, Malaysian officials declare it missing. Okay, you can open your eyes. That's the story of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. 2 years ago, almost, 239 people and the plane they were on board went missing. And we're still looking for it. It's the most expensive aviation search in history. But it's worth the cost. And I think it's worth the cost for 3 reasons. First, this search, this cooperative effort, is creating meaningful, beneficial ties between all of the countries involved. Second, what we're learning in the act of searching and what we will learn by finding the plane itself could save lives in the future. And third, these are lives we're talking about. It's a duty to the loved ones of the 239 people who will never be seen again. But we're UCLA students sitting in a comm class. It's a million miles away. Just let the governments deal with it, right? But I think this is a fascinating case study into the basic, fundamental elements of human cooperation. And this really bizarre twist in history asks us meaningful questions about how we should respond to an international tragedy that we know is going to happen again. Also, it's an interesting story. It just doesn't happen every day. I know I was captivated by it. Sheer curiosity, if nothing else, I think, compels us to want to know what happened. So first, this search is creating meaningful ties between all of the countries involved. According to an article published in The Economist in 2014, there were people from 14 different countries on that plane. According to that same article, France, Australia, America, Vietnam, South Korea, Malaysia, China, and others have all stepped up to the plate, so the costs are borne by multiple countries. This is particularly important for China and Malaysia. Most of the passengers on the plane were Chinese. And according to an article published in The Economist, also in 2014, China is Malaysia's #1 trading partner in the Association of South Asian Countries, or ASEAN, as it's known. Now, most of the passengers on the plane were Chinese, and the plane was Malaysian. that's a definite opportunity for animosity to happen between those countries. And you did see that in the early days when the plane went down. But social scientists have done research into what makes enemies enemies and what makes enemies become friends. I'm actually taking a class on this here at UCLA, and Robert B. Cialdini published a book in 2009 that cited 3 studies in the 1960s and 70s that dealt with this question of human cooperation. They found that the number one way to bring enemies together is through an act of cooperation on a task that none of them could accomplish on their own. That's exactly what this search for the plane is. It's a task that no one country can accomplish on its own, but that all countries must contribute to. That has been scientifically proven to generate goodwill between opposing parties. And international goodwill is worth the cost. Second, this search is worth the cost because of what we're learning in the very act of searching for it. As Mark Thompson, a defense economic specialist at the Australian Society for Policy and Institutions, says, we're already paying for the ships and the planes and the pilots and the sailors anyways, and the stuff that they're doing is good training. There are people whose job it is to search and rescue for things like this. This is beneficial training for them that could help save lives in the future. Also, scientifically speaking, this search is pushing research ahead of its time. An article published in Fox just this year, 2016, also reported in ABC News, said that China was sending a new sonar ship that's never before been tested to look for this plane in the Indian Ocean. The ability to find something on the ocean floor or to locate a man-made object across miles of blue ocean could definitely save lives in the future. And this has happened before. In 2009, Air France Flight 447 went missing over the Pacific Ocean, and 2 years later it was found. As a result, Air France changed the way that it trained its pilots to better respond to emergency circumstances. The same could happen with Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. That training and those lessons could save lives. Leaving the plane unfound is leaving those lessons unlearned. And those lessons are worth the cost. Finally, continuing this search is a duty to the 239 people who left behind family and friends. Now, I know we're all probably rational people. We like to say, give us the numbers, make us a pros and cons list, and then we'll decide. But let's set aside numbers and rationality for a moment and remember empathy. What if you were never going to see your father again, or your brother, or your sister? Recently, a wing of the plane has been found on the Isle of Réunion, out in the middle of the ocean. And the news media went crazy. Oh, we found a wing, it was so exciting. But Sheng Liping, one of the widows who lost her husband, posted recently on a social media website in China, before actual bodies are found, a wing means nothing. And she's right. History likes to forget. This hour's clickbait will be forgotten the next. This week's headlines, we won't remember next month. But those people, those families, they don't forget. I don't know about you, but I don't think about Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 when I'm up in the morning making my cereal. I don't think about it when I go to bed. But you can bet for every best friend, for every wife, for every son, that one day that changed their lives forever will never be forgotten. Continuing the search is telling those families, we don't forget, and that is worth the cost. So yes, the costs of looking for an airplane and 239 people on the bottom of an ocean are very high, but it's worth the cost because of the international ties that are being formed. It's worth the cost because of what we are learning and could learn that could save lives. And it's worth the cost because it's the right thing to do for the families. So imagine this. It's 8 a.m. on a random Tuesday morning. You open your phone, maybe it's an app for news, and you see it's been found. Officials from 14 different countries declare the case closed, the story finished. Finishing out that story is worth the cost. Thank you.
7:05. Thank you for waiting respectfully at the door, outside the door. Okay, we are somewhere. Oh, you were outside. We are here, yes, sir.
Hi everyone, my name is Tommy.
Hi, Tommy.
Hi, Tommy. Great name.
Thank you. I thought it was great. I thought it was an excellent speech. I really liked the beginning, how you did like the little visualization technique, and I also like the strong emotional connection you did with your third point. So.
Yeah, good. Yeah, there was a good emotional connection there, wasn't there? Improvement, sir.
Hi, I'm Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
You did really awesome, and I found very little to critique about it. About the only thing I could say is that I really like your attention-grabbing device right at the beginning with closing our eyes. Maybe we should have opened our eyes when you started talking about the plane not being found. People who would have been up by then, you know. Maybe when you turned on the TV, you would have seen, you know, this plane is missing or something like that. But that's like very, very minor change. Overall, it was great. I really liked it.
Thanks, Jason.
Okay, good. Any other comments before we deconstruct this? Okay, good. Well, Alfie, you didn't disappoint. Thank you. Really nice job. As I've said before, you would be a good member of the UCLA debate team if you ever are wise enough to join. Let's talk about your intro and your the close your eyes thing. It's you have to be careful about it. Sometimes I think you went right to the edge. It was okay, and you don't want to go on too long. And I think that's a little of what he was getting at. And some might say it's a little high schoolish, but when you get people to close their eyes, you sort of get people together in an imaginary world, and it's a real good attention grabber if you can really get people to close their eyes. It works in a smaller group, has been my experience. Large groups, I found not everyone will close their eyes, and somebody will stay on their phones and keep talking and other stuff. Nonetheless, it was good, and it was a grabber. And did you notice her voice when she did the presentation? If you didn't watch it tonight on YouTube, it wasn't just a monotone, but you used your voice to make it dramatic and interesting, and so that was good. It was very effective communication. But to tie back to to go to the tie back concept, were you thinking? You see, it's now 8 a.m. And so, were you thinking of open your eyes, close your eyes, or doing anything more with the eyes, or just back on it's been found? Is that essentially your tie back? Is that what you were going for? Okay, it was fine. It worked out fine in the end. Okay, your thesis preview, good. You answered the question. You gave 3 solid reasons why we should keep searching. On your first argument about fostering international ties, I was pleased that you quoted my favorite magazine, The Economist. That was real good. And the social science studies was also an excellent integration of something you're learning in another class and bringing to bear in this class. And that payoff of goodwill between potential enemies, goodwill is worth the class. The only thing I would have said is, and that's why we should continue searching for Malaysia Airline Flight 370. But there's a second reason. We want to search, we want to solve the mystery, and we want to learn from it, see? So go back to your thesis and remind us that you're supporting a thesis with each of your arguments. The payoff was good, and it was, they're searching anyway, and the new technology and the idea that Air France has put in new procedures was pretty clever, pretty good. So that was good. Just so this is a second reason why we should continue searching for 370. You were most effective, though, on your third, where you got a strong emotional connection with your audience, which you went out of the realm of a factual presentation and went for the pure emotional, the what we call pathos in the field. And you did a really excellent job. I like, in particular, your quote from the widow that said, "A wing isn't a body," and it's true. And
I mean, that was the quote that really hit me, so I think it makes sense to use it.
Yeah, it was a good quote, and so that was good. I guess you, so you wouldn't go overtime. You're allowed 7:15. You skipped your summary, but
I put it in there a little. I think, was it in there? I feel like it was in there. Summary?
Sort of in there. You needed to say. So I've given you 3 reasons why we should keep searching. Therefore, it's 8 a.m. in the morning. That's what I was after in the summary.
I think I did say that.
Well, check on the tape and you'll see. You went right from your emotional thing. Maybe it was very short, and then to your tieback. Yeah. Your goals: verbally cite as many sources as possible. Good. Walk properly, and slow down on the emotional parts. Yes. How'd that go?
I didn't verbally cite all of my sources, but I feel as though I cited the most important ones. And I do feel I cited more than the last speech, which was
yes.
the fault of that one.
Yes, that was good, yes.
So walking, I hope I did correctly. It ceased to be at the forefront of my mind halfway through, but I hope it went well.
Yeah,
and
it was good. Yeah.
I think I did a pretty good job slowing down the emotional part.
Yes, and everyone should know that you want to slow down when you're trying to be emotional, because you want to give it a chance to hit and to sink in to your audience. So that was good. Let's talk about the stickiness of the speech.
Right.
It was a simple message. Let's keep searching. Yes, it was very simply done. There was a lot of stuff that was unexpected in the speech, but you tell us what you put in that was unexpected, and I'll tell you what I found most unexpected.
Okay. I know you always ask that question, so I made you think about it. I think the closing the eyes was unexpected.
Yeah.
I think when I was talking about looking for something on the ocean, and I actually knelt
Bent down.
and I didn't plan on doing that. That was improvised. And
That was good, though. That was unexpected.
okay, cool. And I think the gravitas of the ending was potentially unexpected.
Yeah.
Those were the things that I was thinking of.
Those were excellent. And did you notice how unexpected it was that she got on her knees? The speakers aren't getting on their knees. I think I told you I once delivered a speech that had to do with whether we're spending too much on military spending and not enough on contemporary. And what I did was I went over and I turned the lights off in the auditorium and delivered the speech in the dark. And I said, now you folks may think you need to see me, but you don't. You just need to hear me. And I used the analogy of they need the lights in Vietnam to kill the North Vietnamese, but I would argue we need it here at home too, because there's a lot of people hurting here at home. And I used the environment in a real unexpected way to deliver my speech in the dark. And it took real nerve on my part, but it was talked about and never forgotten. And so that's what I mean by that's really unexpected. Yeah, it takes real, ovaries to do something like that. But, it can be done. And I like the way you dipped down to that, and the slowdown was really good. Now, your credibility was strong on all your cases, so that was good. And I think your stories were good of the people in there, and I think the stories were good that you surrounded yourself with this. So it was really well done. So you did a good job. What do you think you could do better next time?
I think I'll have to watch the tape, but I bet I could speak slower for other parts of it. Just in other speeches I've given, I'm a pretty bad judge of my own speaking speed, so I'll have to watch that and see.
Okay.
I think I could be more certain of the quote that I used. I definitely mushed, and there was one other citation I gave that was iffy. I'm trying to remember what else it was. So I think the little particular details
Mhm.
that could be delivered perhaps more smoothly.
Okay, good job. Thank you, Elsie. Okay, next. Take a moment to bond with this young lady. The battery is dead. Thank you, sir.
Aye. Good job, Connie.
I did. Everyone wants to know, how was your weekend?
Not interesting. Stayed at home. Read a book.